I'm Mark Reed Edwards, Chief Marketing Officer at HFS. Welcome to this special fireside chat between HFS CEO Phil Fersht and Anand Sahay, Global CEO of Xebia. Lots on the docket to discuss today, so let me hand it over to Phil to get the discussion with Anand going. Phil, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Great to have you on here, Anand. And just for the benefit of people watching this who might not be so familiar with Xebia, maybe you could just give us a quick intro into who you are and your company and your expansion plans and what you're looking to do.
Well, we are about a 21-year-old company now. Pretty much started in Netherlands, and we were a architecture consulting firm, and then moved into more software development. Very early on, we were very clear what we want to do as a company. We wanted to build a company on a clear vision of being an authority in the areas of technology we work in. So that's the basis on which Xebia was built. And today, 21 years later, we are almost 6,000 people worldwide. And I think we built a great company with a very strong engineering culture. We believe in the idea that services companies need not always be about building volume. It's about building impact and building, giving something which customers would expect from a very product-led or product mindset firms. Right, with the right software engineering practices, build something which can scale, build something which has the resilience around it. And I think in this 21 years, as the world transformed, it sort of moved in our way, because that's the things which are so important today are the things which we have been talking for 21 years. So we are in a very happy state of mind.
Well, and you were originally founded in Holland, right? You've got a big Dutch heritage before you've expanded. Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about the growth?
Yeah, so we started in Netherlands in 2001 and expanded from there into other European countries, moved into India for building the scale because, it's very difficult to build quality software without having the right manpower, and felt India was a great place. And then from there on, we went into US, we went into Middle East, Southeast Asia. So now, pretty much a global company. And recently, as early or as late as 6 months back, we moved our headquarters to Atlanta in US. So shifting the base. But from the heritage perspective, it's a Dutch origin.
Yeah. Okay. And you're very much in the gig working space for technology. And how's that changing as a role? Because I mean, we've seen a lot of these staffing firms appear, a lot of specialist firms appear. What is it that clients want, and how do you address their needs?
Well. Again, gig culture, and again, if your question is more towards the freelancing culture, so we never believed in that, to be honest. We have always believed in having Xebians, people who we find and select after a lot of hard work. But I think this whole the gig culture is also a phenomena which was traditionally always there, but at some point of time, the best of the best people thought that they could become more freelancers. But what I saw that lately, in last 5 years, as the demand for technology increased, people with even average mindsets were also trying to get into this freelancing, and we have never succeeded with it. Our culture has been build our own people, hire our own people, and then deliver.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting, this shift. And we saw the same in the analyst industry, where a lot of analysts went independent. And it's one thing when you got a really good one out there, but it's when you start to get the mediocre ones out there and selling themselves, it can get fairly dicey. So it seems like the market conditions are shifting every 2-3 months right now. With, we had the Great Resignation coming end of last year, beginning of this year, lots of attrition. That seems to be slowing, and now we've been staring, particularly in Europe, at some really worrying inflation levels. And as we go into 2023, we see a lot of enterprises demanding contract renewals at pre-inflationary prices. But they have the same people problems that we all do. I mean, we've sat through so many client summits and roundtables where the number one topic of conversation is dealing with people complexity, dealing with hybrid work at home and all that sort of stuff. But what's going to happen as we move into next year, when clients aren't willing to spend more money, but our cost of labor is going up 30-40% per person? How do we survive, and what do we need to change the commercial nature of relationships with clients to keep moving forward?
I think it's, the way we are looking at it is having conversation with customer as well as our own employees. I mean, if you have built a good culture, people want to stay with you. But at the same time, it sort of bothers people when the inflation is now, especially Europe, 16%, 18%. It's, everybody is bothered. But I think having the right conversation, you have to make sure that you give the right salaries to your people, But at the same time, people also understand that this may not be the norm. This may not be forever, this kind of inflation. So there has to be some kind of a middle ground there. But at the same time, customers should also realize that if you want the best talent, you have to come out with better prices. So currently, we are having those conversations with the customers rather than coming to a conclusion. And luckily, I see that even customers have a very good understanding that, what's happening, but something to watch for in Q4. Q1 will tell the real story, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, are you being more selective with clients that you're working with because of the nature of demands, where if the client has a very cost reduction driven mindset, but they're not willing to look at outcomes and data quality, things like that, are you being more selective about who you're working with and why and that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in general, now or even historical, we have been very selective on our customer base. And we primarily try to work with customers who are on a transformational journey, where they're really looking at technology as a differentiator. And that area, by and large, the kind of customers and the people we work in that area are aware that for them to get those differentiation, they will have to pay a little more, but also get a value which is far exceeds the rate increase which we are asking for. We are typically not into maintenance and those kind of area where usually people are trying to reduce costs. And so for us, the problem is lesser.
Interesting. So what are the skills that you're focused on that you feel, one, you gain a real differentiation in the market, and two, is where you're moving with clients in terms of demand? What is it that you're really doubling down on at Xebia?
So we have very clear idea of, in the areas where we work in. So for example, we are very strong in data AI with almost 700 data and AI professionals worldwide. And as you can imagine, this is going to be I think, going to be the biggest shift as we go along, and more data innovations will be required. So that's one area where we are very focused. The second one is cloud. Everybody is on cloud now, but the question now is, how do you further optimize cloud? How do you bring innovation in cloud? Again, this is area where we are very intense, and all three major clouds. We are very strong, one of the top partners also worldwide. That's the second big area. The third one is, which we have really picked up, Phil, and I also saw you talking about it, was low code. And that's one area where we are becoming more and more bullish. And we have been a company of pro code forever. And as we started working on different kind of use cases and started researching more on the low code side, we have really gotten into deep of low code, especially in conjunction with the high code. So we don't see low code as only low code. We think any innovative application or software will require both high code and low code. So the hybrid architectures are becoming a norm, and that's the area we want to push along. So that's another big area. Obviously, software development of using functional programming, using the whole Golang space, with high parallelized systems are required is something which is really crucial to us, and that's where we are growing a lot. And finally, a lot of focus is also on transformational practices. For example, we realize that unless you are able to talk about right way of working, agile way of working, there are different kinds of flavors of agile. How do you innovate with enterprises on some of these working ways of working is something which we are really focused on.
Interesting. And where are you seeing, which industries are you seeing more demand for this sort of more transformative work, where they're looking to change the underlying data structures of what they're doing and the whole business model, and how do you support that? Are you seeing specific spikes in different industries, or is this across the board?
I think it is across the board, but I find more intensity in banking, insurance, retail. I mean, they're really, really talking about it, and also not only talking about it, they're serious about building a large program around it, and that's where we are also very focused. We are big on BFSI space, building digital banks around the world. So data-driven digital banks are going to be the future. And also insurance companies. So I think that's where we are really focused. But I see it across the board. You talk to anyone, but the intensity is highest in the BFSI, I guess.
Yeah, we've seen really rapid move to digitization during pandemic, in particular with the banking space. Other industries like insurance seem to have moved a bit slower. Do you think, as you look at the current demand out there, we'll see even more rampant demand in 2023? What sort of environment are we moving into as you look at these economic headwinds? We've got this war in Europe. US economy is not quite as affected. I mean, what do you think will be driving your business in the next 6 months?
To be honest, I mean, Q4 historically has always been, a little tapered. So I still have to see a real sign of that something will drastically change in terms of digitization next year. But we are also watching it. But the programs which have started, I mean, the demand or the questions and discussions we are having with our customers who we have been discussing, they are on full throttle. Off and on, you hear, let's see, we hear it. But I am not currently seeing a real signal other than a lot of newspaper reports and a general Q4 tapering. Okay,
that's very interesting. And the increase in wages and how that's impacting industry, are you seeing a slowdown at the moment in terms of people jumping around jobs? Is that changing at all in recent months, or has that continued to be a big issue?
I'm really hoping it happens. I do hear that now the jumping will reduce, but at the same time, the kind of talent we have been working with, very selective. I think they will always have huge options to go anywhere. So I think we have to be focused on our people like we have been. But by and large, we haven't seen any number-wise change in a big way to really make a comment there. But I do read that in a large SIs, the attritions are beginning to reduce.
Yeah. That's exactly what we're seeing and hearing, and expect to hear more announced in the coming weeks. That'll change the nature of the industry, right? In terms of, maybe an industry that was a little, I hate to say it, fat and happy coming off that bounce after the pandemic, and now we have a different industry we're into, which is facing recessionary pressures, but this dire need to look at cyber and engineering and these things like that. So it's an ever-changing market that we're fighting. This is great. As you continue your expansion plans in the States and that sort of thing, what are your biggest challenges do you find to meet the growth targets that you've set yourselves?
Well, finding people. finding the right people. Let's rephrase. I think that's the biggest challenge, and that's one of the real reason for us to expand into new countries. For example, we just opened in Colombia. We are very intently watching to move into Costa Rica. So a lot of research in those fronts are going on. We have a large center in Poland, actually 3 development centers in Poland. Now we are looking at Romania and Bulgaria. So, we opened Vietnam about 1.5 years back. We are intending to further expand it. So it's all about people. Wherever there is the right talent, I think we'll set it up. That's the expansion.
That's great. I really think your European footprint's going to be very strong for you as we fight through this economic time. And countries like Romania have been fantastic with their talent development and skill sets in recent years. So anyway, it's been great having you on here and getting to know your firm. And hopefully in 2023 we'll see continued success and have you maybe visit some of our summits as well and meet more of our clients. But I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you, Anand.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil and Anand. Really enjoyed this discussion. To learn more about HFS, head over to hfsresearch.com, where you can view most of our research for free. Plus, we have a growing library of videos just like this one that you can take with you wherever you go. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next HFS Videocast.